Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the show that's all about jamming a finger in the face of scumbags and pointing out their scumbaggery. It's the Vinney Eastwood Show on AmericanFreedomRadio.com and incidentally, the VinneyEastwoodShow.com. Also want to give a shout out to the listeners who are listening in the middle of the night on the AM/FM bands in New Zealand, you poor creatures. Especially down south, where it's incredibly cold. Speaking of incredibly cold, has anybody noticed that there's some real ruthless hyping up of just straight up murder going on everywhere? You know, it's like, oh mate, you feel like getting some murder done? Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's just go right ahead and do that. And let's do it on a mass scale too. And let's do it with soft kill bioweapons so that nobody notices what's up. That's what these people do. They always manufacture a crisis, and then, when it scares the bejesus out of you, they come in and pose as your savior, so that they can take your freedoms and your wealth off you. You know, I could be walking down the road, see a real hot girl, and trip her up while I'm walking past her, and catch her in my arms as she falls. And she'd be unaware that it was me that tripped her in the first place. You know, they're trying to seduce you. Hey, heck, everybody's trying to seduce you. Even me. It's a terrible world we live in, and that's just the reality of it. I'm not being down, I'm not being upsetting or anything like that. It's just the way things are. May not be very nice, but hey, just because it's the way things are, doesn't mean it's the way things have to be. Certainly don't have to be that way forever. If everybody was to get up and do something, everything would change tomorrow. It can be that quickly. But usually, as history has taught us, it's a small determined minority of people who just simply won't be stopped, who winds up getting control or making major long-lasting change happen. They're the only group of people that ever have, for good or for ill. So that's the power of the individual. At it again. Stop thinking collectively. Stop thinking about what everybody else is doing. Stop thinking about how everybody else would judge you if you did this or if you did that. How about you just do it and then worry about it? You know, you're doing some premature worrying here for no reason, and it's distracting you from actually getting anything done. Don't worry about it. Just do it. You know, frack it. Who cares? What do you got to lose that they aren't going to take from you anyway? Now, today, some interesting rant. Today, we have a guy named Zachary Baker from GGN Online. And global government news, for those of you who don't know, news for the North American Union. Zachary, welcome to the Vinney Eastwood Show.
Oh, thank you, Vinny. Thank you for having me on.
Could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm running a website currently. It's been going for about a couple of years now. But just to give a brief background, I served in the military in the U.S. Marine Corps for 5 years. After that, I went to college, earned my degree in journalism. After that, I've been working on my website. I did have a little radio show going there briefly called The Cutting Edge Radio Show. But then pretty much it's just been GGNonline.com.
Okay. Well, what actually woke you up to the New World Order?
Oh, that's always an interesting question for most people, how they get into it. What makes it, what is it that leads them to that little rabbit hole that we seem to all go down? And I don't know if you ever actually get out of it, but it's a passion. And for me, I call it a fire inside. It's something that has been always burning inside me, but I think because of how we're raised, especially with the media, but even our own families, basically teaching us, right is wrong and wrong is right, that something is just not right. So I had to go on that journey to figure it out. And it led me down the road of basically what a lot of older people know, which is there's a small group of elites that are basically running the planet. And I don't really like it. It affects everything, every part of our society. To going to the grocery store, to parents getting divorced, you can trace it back to some kind of engineering of the society or the economy or what have you.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the reality of the world that's been created for us by the elite, is that sooner or later, in some way, they'll get you. Whether they brainwash you, whether they poison you, whether they cause you to live in destitute poverty. It's all their fault. Yes,
exactly. It's right in your face. It's all around you. And, unfortunately, like you said in the intro, a lot of people, they just don't want to see it. They get smacked over the head with it when they get kicked out of their home or, get lost, lose their job. Sorry, it's not our problem. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And you can't force people. You can't take a horse to water and make it drink. You just got to present it to them, and if they take the red pill, they take it. If not, God bless you and good luck.
Well, information I find is kind of like a hand grenade. If you're going to throw it in there, it's best to walk away after you do.
Yes. You can get people a little riled up, and they tend to get offended too. Believe it or not, you think that they would be with open arms saying, well, wow, I didn't see it like that, But, Vinney, I think the ego is the center of it all. People's egos they can't let it go. They can't say, I'm wrong, I was wrong, I'm just this little old person. But like you said, again, your intro, it was a great intro, by the way. If people just collectively act as individuals and wake up, we could end this madness that easily.
Because technically there's no such thing as a collective. Like, can you touch a collective of people? No. You can only touch a person, because that's all that there really is. The rest is just an abstraction, an idea. It doesn't really exist there. Forests don't exist. Trees do. Mm-hmm. You can touch a tree. But the whole concept of individuality is about, like the whole concept of the little man in his shed sort of thing. How he can create this amazing device or invention all by himself, We've got that ability.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even in the indigenous tribes, I'm not sure about the Aboriginals in Australia, but here in America, the Sioux tribes, I mean, especially with that tribe, they worked as a collective, but individually they could express themselves. They would have different types of war paint, different beads, however they wanted to do it, just as long as it didn't affect the rest of the tribe. And I think that's a pretty good standard policy for modern living as well.
Yep. If you want to do something provocative, you best be ready to live up to the consequences. And have you noticed that a lot of people are now kind of pointing fingers at the New World Order, making posts on Facebook, making YouTube videos and making websites and all of that kind of stuff? And the vast majority of them never get any attention, never get any censorship or anything like that. But some of the big guys really do.
Oh, yes. There are a few individuals, but, we're not going to name names. But, yes, I know what you're saying. It is kind of a hard uphill battle, trying to get that voice out, getting to the top of the mountain saying, here, bloody murder, something's not right. But yeah, then you see others that kind of just slide down the mountain, and everybody's looking at them, and the spotlight's on them. But you just have to do your own thing. Keep your head down, keep moving forward, and don't be jealous. Like I said, the ego, that's what does it.
Well, I think that the ego can also be of great benefit, because some people who won't give up and believe belligerently in themselves can actually accomplish quite a lot.
Right, yeah. I know what you're saying there, Vinney, as far as the ego. It could be. I mean, it could be used as a survival mechanism. It is. But I guess I don't want to say that ego is completely bad. I guess what I'm saying is my experience with dealing with most people, with communicating with them, is that there's this big wall, and it's usually that. So I just wanted to make that clear.
And I think it's kind of been manufactured like that, because if you have a look at the society, there's not terribly large amount of encouragement in terms of, let's say, mainstream media and TV shows, movies, and all of that kind of stuff. For radical self-exploration and learning and knowledge and all of that good stuff, right? It's kind of not there. So then you look at the population and you got to ask yourself, is that influence, small as it may be, it might not be on the mainstream airways to lesser or greater degrees, but it's there nonetheless from people mostly doing it online. That kind of effect, can you see it in most people? And it's strange. I mean, I don't know if I really can, because there isn't that kind of reach. You know, that's all of that we really have as a massive problem, to my mind, is just a corrupt media. If you had a completely honest media, then none of these other problems would exist, because it would all get exposed.
Right. And a lot of that is due to media consolidation. I mean, even back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, you'd had some objective journalism. People would ask questions. I mean, a good example is investigative reporting. I learned very quickly that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to get into. And after earning my degree in journalism, but then I realized and I learned that it doesn't really exist anymore. They just don't have the budgets for it. It's about news blurbs, and you're getting basically the same information from a few corporations that own all these newspapers. Even your local newspapers are owned by something higher than that. So, I mean, the content you're getting is from the same source. There's no difference.
And the New Zealand Herald, biggest paper in this country, basically, they used to have, I think in early 2000, late 90s, about 90 staff for investigative journalism. Okay. And today, I think they have, and this is an old statistic, they have 3.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Copy paste, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, is that coming out of Reuters? Okay, good. How much do we owe them to use their story and change a few words around and parade it as their own?
Right. Yeah, that's how it works. And
they go, well, that's a heck of a lot cheaper than paying an investigative journalist to actually expose real crap that's going on here. Yeah, sweet as, bro. What about the public? Don't you think that they should be better informed about stuff that actually matters and has perhaps more in-depth analysis and perhaps dots connected in some way? And they're like, no, bro, that'd be sweet as.
Vinney, the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about that was South Park. I'm not sure if you're a big South Park fan. Some are. Some people either hate it or love it. I'm kind of in between now. But there's an episode where they do news at their school, and they're like, they have the dogs barking, and they're trying to do a